Good morning and a happy Saturday. Welcome to the weekend. I'm King 5 meteorologist Ashley Ruiz with a look at your forecast. It's really going to be a treat this weekend because we're going to have drier conditions. Temperatures are going to be a little warmer and we'll have sunshine. We'll have high clouds painting the sky, but still a lovely weekend. The driest weekend since the first weekend in October. So hopefully, if you like drier weather, you can get out and enjoy it. Showers return to the forecast late Sunday night and into Monday morning. A weak system moves in, but more rain arrives late next week. King tides are still around through the 9th. For Shelton, it's going to be the November 7th through the 9th, and you see all the way Dungeness as well in the morning, and then they return in December. Let's talk about the weather pattern, because thankfully closer to the coast and where we've had coastal flooding, the winds are settling on down. Our waves are not nearly as strong, and high pressure is going to keep things a little more settled. This weekend we have that ridge of high pressure building over the west coast, and that's going to eventually flatten as we head into Monday. You see how we don't have a defined ridge. It's more flat in nature. And when that happens, you get a weakness in it, and that allows for a system could move in, and we'll have just that. A weak system, a weak front that's going to move in, bringing us some showers from the northwest. But then beyond that, we'll have troughing developing. This is going to be more so later in the week. A weak ridge tries to develop Tuesday and into Wednesday. Could have a sprinkle or so, but the rain holds off until we get that troughing to develop by Thursday and into Friday. So again, no worries with any rain. All you have to really worry about this weekend will be some low clouds, some fog, but then paving the way for sunshine with clouds in the sky. On Veterans Day, Wednesday, we'll have low rain chances, but maybe a couple of showers. A better chance for that on Wednesday. And then Thursday and Friday, that's when we'll have our next best chance for rain. A look around Washington this morning. Again, you see filtered sunshine, high clouds painting the sky beautifully. We also have some of that snow still atop Hurricane Ridge, with our freezing levels coming way up over the weekend. I'm talking 10,000 feet and above. We're going to get some of that snow melt, and not going to have much in the way of fresh mountain snow because snow levels will be so high over the next couple of days, and with precipitation in the mix and really light precipitation, not going to really add to that snowpack. And I'll show you coming up, but let's talk about the highs today. The islands mid 50s, and then interior areas mid and upper 50s. A few spots in the foothills may even warm up to about 60 degrees. And then for Central Sound and the foothills, you see about 57 in Shoreline, all the way to about 60 in Enumclaw. And then for South Sound, very similar, all the way down to the state line, 62 in Longview, and then closer to the beaches as well, upper 50s and lower 60s. For Hood Canal, going to be in the upper 50s. So you see the trend there. Now tonight, we're not going to be as cold, but still on the cool side in the upper 30s and low and mid 40s. Winds should be on the light side, and once again, we could have a little bit of fog tomorrow morning, but not expecting anything widespread. Sunday's going to be the warmest day. We'll have upper 50s, lower 60s, maybe even a few spots in the mid 60s, which is above normal. And this is going to be great weather for the Hawks versus the Cardinals. Kickoff at 1:05 on Sunday. Temperatures right around 60 degrees. Rain holds off, but then we get into Sunday evening and then early Monday morning. A couple of showers may approach the coast, maybe the islands, north interior Sunday evening, but the best chance comes overnight and into Monday morning. And you see it's really not a lot. It's going to be moisture starved, so we're not going to have super heavy rain. This is not an atmospheric river, but all in all, that will be our chance for rain to kick off the week. But then we skip ahead to the middle half of the week. As I mentioned, you can kind of see that ridge just keeping all of that precipitation offshore. This is Wednesday, although maybe a light shower. Then we get into Thursday, and you see how we get this low spinning offshore. That eventually will move inland as we get closer to Thursday, Friday, and maybe into the weekend. The question is where. It's likely going to be Oregon or California, but either way, still going to get a good bit of precipitation with it. We're still not expecting super heavy rain where we get several inches in a couple of days in Puget Sound, but we'll get something. And then beyond that, still kind of up in the air. But the weather pattern, the long-term weather pattern does favor above normal precipitation, but we're doing pretty okay, I would say, for our monthly totals so far. We're sitting above normal in terms of how much rain we've had versus the climatological normal, but our yearly deficit is still struggling. But progress. Here's a look at our estimated rain totals. This is through next Saturday. Obviously, this will change, especially as we get closer. We have to see how potent this next system is, the one later in the week. But all in all, we're going to get accumulating rain. Up in the mountains, as I mentioned, snow levels are going to be on the high side. Since we don't have any precipitation this weekend, it's the freezing level. So it is going to cause some of that fresh snow to melt. As we get into Monday, about 8,500 feet. Now, Tuesday, we're not going to have a lot of moisture in place, but enough, maybe a couple of flurries flying at Stevens, but not expecting anything super impactful by any means. Then we get into Friday. That's when our snow levels will likely start to come down close to Stevens Pass. This is through next Saturday, and this just goes to show that we're not going to have any really lower elevation snow with this because our snow levels will be so high. But once again, this is an early outlook, and with not a lot of moisture with Monday's system, and then more moisture moving in Thursday and Friday of next weekend, and it's going to take some time for those snow levels to drop. You see not a lot, unfortunately, and we need the snow, I know, but a lot of it will melt that from what we saw earlier in the week in just the last couple of weeks. So once again, not expecting any extreme weather, definitely not this weekend. Enjoy it if you can. Into Monday, early morning showers, late night, early morning showers on Monday. That will taper off to just maybe a hit or miss shower in the back half of the day, sun breaks. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, temperatures come down a little bit, mid 50s. And then Thursday and Friday, that's when we get that increasing rain. Once again, temperatures are going to be back down to where they should be. Now, beyond the 7-day forecast, I mentioned that the weather pattern, the long range weather pattern, it's favoring wetter than normal conditions and maybe slightly cooler than normal. So you see into the middle half of the month and heading into the end of the month, possibly temperatures in the 40s and 50s. But as we know, it is fall in the Pacific Northwest. This is not out of the ordinary by any means. Remember, you can always find the latest forecast on king5.com, the King 5 app, King 5 Plus, and then on our YouTube page as well.